Heather, welcome back to the Soccer Queens podcast.
Thanks for having me again. Love it.
I am really excited to have this follow-up conversation with you because you were on the podcast over 7 months ago talking about some healthy nutrition changes you were making within your household. You are also a strength coach to female athletes and mainly female soccer players. You are also a mom of two amazing girls and you're a business owner. So you are busy. And I think anyone listening who is a parent who struggles to get their kids to eat healthy, hang around for this episode because this is going to be such an amazing conversation and I can't wait to hear how everything's going. So, I decided to reach out to you again, Heather, because the last time we talked, you said that you were making some really big nutrition changes with your kids and primarily with yourself first because you were starting to get some symptoms and have some health issues that weren't getting resolved and you decided to change what you were doing and then you saw the benefits and then you decided to get the whole family on board. So let's kind of backtrack. What symptoms were you experiencing and how long have you kind of dealt with some of these problems and then realized, well, I need to make a change?
So I would say for probably the last 20 years. So I'm 38. And I'd say right around like high school, like 16, 17, I started to have some reflux, like acid reflux issues, gastritis. And I think there was a ton of reasons. One being the foods and the things that I was eating. And then I was downing Motrin like it was my job, just knee pain, ankle pain, just being a high level athlete. You get your bumps and bruises and you'll do anything to make them just go away so you can continue playing your sport. Um, so over the course of the last 20 years, it has been a roller coaster of that where I'd get scoped, everything would be fine, but my symptoms would be terrible. I mean, like wake up in the middle of the night, have to prop myself up on very high doses of, omeprazole and Zantac and anything to kind of get the symptoms to go away other than completely changing my food, which, I would eliminate some of the stuff that really bothered it. But for the most part, I just continued eating how I ate, high carb, high gluten, stuff that we're taught, that is the right thing to eat as an athlete. And I'll say this too, I had a horrible sugar addiction. I mean, like my wife could attest to that, especially after dinner. It was bad. I mean, 800 to 1,000 calories in just crappy food. And I struggled with it. And I think it led to some things. It obviously made my reflux worse, more chronic sinus headaches, sometimes migraines, um, you know, joint joint problems and I just always attributed it to I'm an athlete, like this is normal, my ankles and my Achilles are hurting, it's fine, my knees. And then fast forward into 2 years ago in 2022, I tore my meniscus and rehabbed really poorly, tore it again, rehabbed better, and then we kind of had a conversation. It was kind of probably mid-February. It was 3 months, well, 2.5 months post-op, and you were talking about some of the stuff that you were doing, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." Um, and then March is when I decided to full on change to a carnivore style diet, and I would promise myself self that I would stick with it for at least 90 days to see kind of would this help um, all of the issues that I've always had, from the sugar addiction to the joint pain to the gastritis and reflux and all that. And yeah, here we are now.
So did you have any hormonal symptoms like menstrual pains?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
And what changed after you started to incorporate more of your animal-based proteins?
Yeah. So, typical female stuff. I'd say the last year to 2 years, I feel like when my period would come, it would be awful. I would have horrible symptoms 2 days prior, like, breast tenderness, horrible headaches, a little bit of acne, really bad cramps. And I hadn't experienced that in a long time. And when I changed over to a more carnivore style diet, I my period came and I was shocked. I was like, "Whoa!" Like no symptoms, no cramping, nothing like that. And I was like, "Okay." cool. We started. But throughout the next couple months, it was like that where I was like, you weren't dreading it because you weren't getting these horrible physical symptoms. And it made everything go away. I mean, I just had a normal like cycle where I didn't have the acne. I didn't have the cramps for me. Like I would take Midol like around the clock, because it was the only way I could function and go to work because they were so bad. That went away. The headaches went away, which was like huge because nothing would touch these headaches. Like the day before and the day after, awful. I mean, like would still go to work and go throughout my day, but I was miserable. So yeah, when I switched over to carnivore, all those symptoms kind of subsided. And it wasn't like a gradual thing. It was like I probably was 2 months in, and so 6 weeks, and boom, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like I don't mind this anymore. And for whatever reason, they were a little bit shorter. So I'm
Yeah.
like, cool, I'll take it. Like I'll definitely take it. Um, any of the acne that I had kind of went away, never noticed it. We recently started using beef tallow as like a moisturizer. That's definitely helped too. um, but yeah, like I was blown away at how much better I felt when my period would come.
That's amazing because the negative menstrual cycle symptoms are something that a lot of girls and women think is just something they have to deal with.
Yep.
And then when you start to make those tiny nutrition changes and those symptoms improve, if not go away altogether, it's so amazing. You feel
Yeah.
so free once and for all, and one of
Yeah.
my favorite, female doctors, Dr. Elizabeth Bright, she specializes in hormonal health and thyroid function, and she has an amazing book on the benefits of animal fats and high protein, and she talks about in her book, she said something so cool. It was like, a girl should look down and just see that she's bleeding during her period and nothing else.
Right.
And
Right.
nothing else should be happening. It should just be like, "Oh," and then you just get on with your day, and it shouldn't
Yeah.
be this agonizing storm of symptoms. I mean, the migraines are awful, the headaches, some of the cramps girls experience, and they're so debilitating for soccer performance too, and just your
Huge.
confidence. Now, I
Hmm.
wanna come back to when you said, "I'm doing a mainly carnivorous diet." So, I
Hmm.
want to just let everyone know that we are not suggesting go strict because it's on a
Yeah.
spectrum, and when we're talking about more of a carnivorous way of eating for soccer players, you still have to incorporate some of nature's carbs and some other things. So, usually if your diet is over 70% meat based and then you add in everything else like potatoes or rice or berries and strategically use those carbs that you enjoy eating and make you feel great, that can count on the spectrum as a carnivorous diet. So,
Hmm.
what are you eating now in a day? Because it's not just meat only. You are doing other things. I would maybe say it's like a carnivore paleo blend
Yeah.
type thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah. Like a hunter
okay? Yeah,
gatherer
maybe
style
walk us
for
through
sure.
what you eat.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's I'm pretty simple. Like throughout the day, I just like knowing what I'm gonna eat, so I don't stray too much. So, I usually have 3 to 4 eggs in the morning, with either some bacon or sausage, avocado, and then some berries. Any kind of the berries, like usually a cup of just a mixture of it. And then I will for lunch, I'll either have some chicken thighs, some chicken wings, again with some more either jasmine rice or a sweet potato. And then if I still feel a little bit hungry, I'll throw more berries in there. I think we go through like pounds of fruit because all of us are huge fruit eaters. Um, and then if I'm snacking at all, it's usually like a beef jerky stick. Um, I do incorporate some like string cheeses and stuff like that. And then dinner is sometimes it's steak, sometimes it's ribs, sometimes it's fish. We like to kind of mix it up because we do so much chicken, that we like to have a variety. And then sometimes we'll have like a little, maybe it's like a small salad, like very simple, cut up romaine with maybe some cucumbers. stuff like that, and something that's not super starchy. Because honestly, like if they've high starchy veggies have always just upset my stomach, and I just never realized that um, that wasn't supposed to happen until recently. So yeah, we do. That's pretty much a normal day. Like, so I'd say the jasmine rice, the sweet potatoes, some light veggies, and a ton of the berries. Like, that's pretty much what I live off of.
I love that, and I think it's really important for people to understand that the carbohydrates that you're doing, it can be nature's carbs, and I had a few
Hmm.
girls ask me the other day, "Wait a minute, fruits are a carb?" And I was like, "Absolutely, they break down into sugar. That is absolutely a
Right,
carb,"
right.
and it's just nice to have those
Yeah,
single ingredient carbs and just not
totally.
all the extra additives, but,
Yeah.
we're not saying you have to be 100% strict, perfect all the time. It's okay to have something from time to time, but have you found that the longer you've done this, I mean, you've been doing this for several months now, and
Hmm.
I think when people start a new nutrition lifestyle, they fall off pretty quickly, which is why I
Right.
had you back on here. You've been doing it for several months and sticking to it. Have you
Yep.
noticed that your taste buds have changed and you're just naturally deterred from deviating and having junk food?
100%. Which I think for me, that's the most beneficial thing, or one of the most beneficial things that has come out of this. Like I said, horrible, horrible sweet tooth, major sugar addiction, like just chalked it up to like, that's just me and that's just how I'm gonna be and I gotta accept it. So yeah, I've stopped eating any kind of snacks after dinner because I feel like I'm satisfied. I can go out, we can go to a cookout or a party or whatever, and I don't need the cookies, the cake, the cupcakes. Like I just I'm just not even turned on by it anymore, where I'm like, "Oh god, I can't wait to eat that." It's just I don't even think about it, like, and I never ever thought that that would happen for me, like, and I know that sounds kinda silly, but it was a huge mental thing where I would know that I don't need this food, but I needed it, like, there was something I needed it, like, and again, if Allie would ever if Allie ever comes on this podcast, she could attest to how horrible it was, like, she would just look at me and be like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you doing that? Like, you don't need that." "I can't help it, I can't help it." Now it's yeah, like, we've been out a couple times and to a party that had a spread of all the favorites and didn't even care. I was like, "No, I'm good." So
Wow.
it's huge, and that was unexpected. I mean, because it just kinda happened. It wasn't like I said, "Okay, on, you know, May 15th, I'm gonna stop eating sweets." It was just like this, like, gradual, like, "Yeah, I don't need it anymore. I don't even think about it."
It's like the neurotransmitters in your brain were changing because you were feeding them the protein and the fats that they needed,
Yeah.
and I imagine that's a part of it, and I've heard this same testimonial from other people who are eating this way, that over time, they just feel so good with this lifestyle that it's not worth having something else. They are naturally deterred because they know the reaction that is going to happen within their bodies, and
Yeah,
I
100%.
I I start breaking out if I
Yep.
deviate, and for
Yes.
me, it's like I would rather deal with the cost of being disciplined. I don't see it as a cost anymore because I enjoy what I eat,
Right.
but it's not worth the cost of the symptoms coming back.
No, and so this is a funny story. So we went on vacation early August. We went to Florida and we went with some friends and I was like, all right, I'm gonna stay as close to like how I eat at home as possible. And for the most part I did, but it was at night after the kids went to bed and then we were kind of just the adults were left to do whatever. We went out and got some just bad food like pizza rolls, cookies, chips, stuff like that. And I was like, all right, I'll have one night where I'll eat that stuff. It's fine. Um and I'm not even kidding you. I had way more than I wanted to have, but my chin broke out. Like I woke up and I was like, "Did I touch something? Like, did I like?" And I looked at Allie. I'm like, "What is this?" I mean, it was like 6 of them, and I'm like, "Oh
Wow.
my god!" And I was sitting there, it didn't, like, dawn on me until, like, later in the day. I was like, "Oh my god, it's from the food that I ate last night." Because it was literally, like, pizza rolls, cookies, and chips, and, I mean, I was bad. I had a lot, but I thought it was insane. I woke up and I was like, "Oh my," I literally looked like someone just, like, magically was like, "Okay, acne everywhere." It was wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then my stomach, we won't talk about my stomach. It was rough for,
World
like, 2
War
days. I'm like,
Three.
yeah, yep. I'm like, "Okay, cool, can't do that, don't wanna do that," like, got out of my system, and that was probably the first time I had eaten like that in, I mean, probably 5 months, like, because I really didn't deter until vacation. So it was crazy. Like, yeah,
It really is crazy, and it's just not worth it sometimes,
no,
and I will say, in certain situations where those types of foods are the only thing available, you still have to get calories in, especially
for
if
sure.
you are a growing female athlete who's in the middle of a soccer tournament and there's only certain restaurants and foods wherever you are. Don't be stupid. Still eat,
Yeah,
still get the
you got it.
calories.
Yeah,
And, last week or no, a few weeks ago, I was in Wisconsin for a conference and at lunch they had sandwiches and I really didn't want them because I don't find them satiating and I know I'm going to have skin reactions, but
uh-huh,
it was the only thing available to eat. So of course I ate it because I had to get the calories in. And I was like, "You know
right.
what? Whatever." I accepted it. Woke up the next day, same as you. It's always acne around the chin.
Yeah,
It was
it's like, "What is
insane. And
it?"
I FaceTimed my husband and he's never seen me with acne because I'm so dialed in with everything I'm doing. He's
Yeah.
never seen me with acne. He was like, "Is that a zit?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "I have never seen that on you before." And I'm like, "Casey, it was the subs with all the veggies and the
Yeah,
turkey and the bread." Like, I just could
all of
not
it.
do it. And it was just so funny. And he's like, "You never break out." And I'm like, "I know, but I had
Yeah,
to eat. I had to eat." So
right?
those are the situations where it's like, okay, like deal with a little bit of acne, get the calories in
Yeah,
because that's more important. But
for sure.
overall, so a lot of parents listening will say, well, we just never have time. So we can only grab those quick foods, packaged foods, and that's all we can eat. But what would you say to those parents? Because I think a lot of them will find that this lifestyle is actually very easy and very simple and a lot less thinking.
Yes. So we usually take Sundays to meal prep. We grocery shop and then we go and we meal prep. I mean, it maybe takes an hour, maybe two, but it's really not like hands on. It's kind of like, okay, so I'll make 10 to 12 chicken thighs in the oven. Boom. That's usually like my lunch or like the girls like chicken thighs for dinner. So it's just, you pop it back in the air fryer to heat it up a little bit and then cut it up and you're good. Um, Same thing with like the chicken wings. They take 20 minutes in the air fryer and you don't got to do anything with them. You mix them up a little bit, take them out, they're good to go. We do like our take on egg bites. So Allie has found this really awesome recipe and they taste phenomenal. And we'll make like 50 of these egg bites a week because we all eat them. We got Bex who just started kindergarten, Dakota who still goes to daycare. So the mornings can be a little bit hectic, but we've got the egg bites ready to go. We got the berries. We got everything ready to go. So it's like throw it in the air fryer or the microwave real quick, heat it up, boom, out the door. Um, you know, our girls they love like the chicken that we make. They love the ribs, the steak. And for them, we'll make maybe like 3 or 4 chicken breasts just in the beginning of the week. Keep them in the fridge, and then when it's dinner time, we'll cut them up and we'll put them on their plate, whatever. And I'll say that they like, especially Beck, she's a little more vocal than Dakota, but she will devour the chicken. And she'll ask for more. And I'm like, who are you? Because prior to that, we were your typical, let's throw some chicken nuggets on the plate, let's make some peanut butter and jelly, all the easy go to stuff. And they would like half eat it. And I was like,
Wow.
I don't get you guys. Like chicken fingers and peanut butter and jelly, like, you know. So then when we switched over and we started having them basically eat what we were eating, I noticed that they would finish their meals. And I thought that was pretty eye-opening. And I even said to Allie, I'm like, "Do you notice that they eat the whole food more than the processed food?" I was like, "I love that. Like, that's clearly what they want." Great example was last night. We made ribs. I popped them in the oven at 2 o'clock. They were ready by 6:30, and we didn't do anything special. Just seasoned them, and then took them off the bone for the girls. And I think they each had 4 ribs, which is like a lot of food for little girls. Um, to the point where like we had made them like some corn and stuff like that. They didn't even want to eat that. Like they were just so full from the rib meat. And then Bexley says to us, "Mommy, this was the best meal I've ever had." I
Oh,
kind of laughed and I was like, "That's really cute."
oh,
But yeah, so I would say to those parents, like, one, like you have to prioritize a little bit. And for us, it's Sundays. I mean, maybe it'd be different for other families, but we try to get as much of the meal prep out of the way as we can for the week. Obviously, you're going to have situations like dinner time where maybe you have to make that in the moment, but even still, you can be prepared for it. Like, if we're going to make steaks or something, it's not going to take that long. And the girls are fine, with waiting for their food. Lunches too. We'll do like for Bex, we do kind of like a little meat and cheese like charcuterie board with like fruits and stuff like that. 'Cause she loves it. Like she loves to just roll you know, the meat and the cheese and have at it. And typically she'll come home with an empty lunchbox, and I'm like, all right, cool. She loves it. Like we're just gonna keep rolling with it. So yeah, simplifying it and meal prepping as much as you can is the way to go. And then they're getting the great foods in. Like I would cringe when we would make the mac and cheese or throw the freaking, chicken nuggets in the air fryer. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is not good for them. I know it's not good for them, but like, whatever. So yeah, I'd say for the last 5 months, that's what they've been eating.
and how has the grocery bill been? Has that gone down?
I would say yes. I will say sometimes when we buy a ton of like the organic pasture raised chicken, little bit more expensive, but the taste is amazing. You know that you're getting good quality meat. But yes, I would say we're not buying, all the processed stuff, which it adds up. Like if I mean, I'd say like we're like 60 to 80 bucks cheaper, which is huge.
Yeah.
Um and it's the same stuff every week. We go to the local farmers market, we get all the produce, we get all the veggies, all the fruit, all the sweet potatoes and stuff like that. And then we go to the grocery store and we get all the meat. We stay on the outside, just like, you're kind of taught, like stay on the outside, don't go in the aisles. And one, from a time perspective, you're spending way less time in the grocery store, which is huge because that's also like, that's all. I don't wanna say it's money, but it's, like, your time. Like, you don't wanna be at the grocery store forever. And then, yeah, the bill is much cheaper, so you can afford to buy healthier chicken, better meat, and stuff like that.
And people don't always have to get the pasture raised, grass
Yeah,
fed. If
totally.
you can, go for it, but if not, I mean, you can go to Costco, get some very cheap meat and eggs, and it is very affordable, and I've heard that as well. A lot of people's grocery bill goes down, and those foods that they're getting are also more satiating, so they don't need to, like, stock up as much,
Right,
and
yep.
a lot of these foods last longer than a
Mhm,
lot of, like, vegetables as well.
yep.
Berries you can put in the freezer too. That's a great
We do
hack
that.
to just prolong the life of all the berries you buy. So
The
that's
girls
another
love
thing.
frozen blueberries. They just
Yeah,
love to eat them. Like, yeah.
yeah. Kids are so smart. They are very intuitive. They know what their bodies nutritionally need, and I find it very interesting that your girls really look forward to and crave the meat dense meals, the berries, the
Yeah.
potatoes, the jasmine rice, and they eat it all. That is such a good sign. And how do they do with broccoli and certain vegetables?
Well, they don't love it. They s they like
Kids are smart.
yeah, I mean, it was actually funny when we tried to give Dakota broccoli, like, months ago. The look on her face was just priceless. Like, she just kinda gave you this look like, "Ew," and just kinda threw it down and, like, was like, you know but, yeah, they wouldn't touch it. Like, I mean, we were those parents that were giving them all that stuff, and they never ate it, and I'm like, I hated when my parents forced me to eat that, like, because I didn't like it, it made my belly feel like crap. So I'm like, "I'm not gonna do that to them, like, if they don't eat it, they don't eat it," you know? I will say they do like cucumber. That's a regular, like, we do, like, a little cucumber onion salad for them and a little bit of salt and pepper, and they love it, so I'm like, "Well," I'm like, "I don't really care if you like that, that's fine." But yeah, they're big fruit it's berries, I swear to God, like, we go through, I can eat, like, pounds of berries.
And
Um,
avocados.
oh my God, Dakota loves avocados. I said, "Cado, please, cado, please."
Oh,
Um, so yeah, we probably go through, I mean, I eat a whole avocado a day, so we probably have 10 to 15 avocados a week that we go through. Yeah,
it's so good getting those healthy fats and
yeah,
man, such a great food for a kid whose brain is still developing and
yeah,
really strengthening that myelin sheath around their neurotransmitters. Those healthy fats are just
mhm,
so important for young kids. Now, coming back to the vegetables, I would argue a lot of parents don't have to fight their kids to eat their veggies because it's not like vegetables have a magical nutrient that you can't get from other foods. So you can get a lot of antioxidants from berries and steak. You can
yeah,
get your vitamin C from berries. And I think people are like, you need to eat your veggies, you need to eat your veggies. But there's nothing special about them because you can get all of those amazing nutrients from other foods that your kids actually look
like,
forward to eating. And people
yeah,
think I'm nuts that I don't eat any veggies anymore. And I ask them, I'm like, okay, well, what am I missing out on by not eating veggies? And the only thing they can come up with is vitamin C. And I go, "Well, are blueberries not one of the most richest fruits in with vitamin C?" And they go, "Oh, you're right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd rather get my vitamin C from blueberries because I actually enjoy eating them, which makes my diet more sustainable." There's a lot of research coming out now that diets are only sustainable if you look forward to them. So, there's something to be said about that as well.
I totally agree with that. Because I have tried every single type of diet. I mean, like, just and this is the one that's just stuck because, like you just said, I look forward to it. Like, and it's funny because I think Allie thought I'd get sick of eating chicken thighs every day. I look forward to that every day. I'm like pumped to come home and eat lunch. And Bex too. Bex is so funny. She loves the skin of the chicken thighs. Like
The healthy
the
fat. It's healthy
yeah, I
fat.
mean,
Yeah.
we will fight, like, if I'm eating and she wants some of it, I'll cut her a piece and she'll go, "No, I want the skin." I'm like, "No, I want the skin." Like, that's my favorite part. So then I end up giving her her own and yeah, but, yeah, I agree with that. I get the same response from people when I say like, "Oh, I'm mostly carnivore based," like, whatever, and I explain, like, I'm not full blown, but here's what I eat, and they'll say, "Well, the veggies," and I'm like, I think you've just been told that your whole life, and it's something that you can't just separate, you know? And it was like, and I'll be honest, in the beginning, I was like, "Man, okay, like, no veggies, all right."
That's
And
I
then
remember telling you, "Drop the plants, drop the
yeah,
vegetables, and
yeah,
see how
yeah,
your gut improves."
and that was it. I was like,
Bloating, gas, gone.
huge.
Yeah.
And, like,
I
my
d
reflux symptoms started to die down a little bit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wow, this is crazy." Like, but you're right, like, the bloating and there's, like, the full feeling that you hate, like, I feel like most people don't like that feeling, like, you wanna feel, like, lean and healthy, and by eliminating, I mean, because we were veggie people, I mean, every single night, every single day, it was like, with your dinner, it was like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, green beans, asparagus, heavy, hard, like, fibrous salads, and I always felt like crap, and I'm like, and you never connect the dots until you eliminate that stuff and then go, "Okay, yeah, that was it." So, yeah, I don't miss vegetables at all.
There are some vegetables that really aggravate the gut, and what's so crazy is a lot of people think these gut symptoms are normal. Women think that bloating is normal during their menstrual cycle, people think that farting is normal, It's
Right, right.
not.
No, no.
And it really can be those more cruciferous vegetables or even the darker leafy greens like
Yep,
spinach can really
yep.
upset people's stomach, but some, like, lighter vegetables people usually tend to handle are, like, carrots,
Mhm.
potatoes, onions, romaine lettuce, so those
Yep.
can be some options if you're not ready to cut the plants quite yet.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I find that so interesting, and what also something you said about your meat-based eating is you do have a lot of variety within that. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people from the outside would be like, "Oh, she's getting no variety," but I like to call what you're doing more of a colorful carnivorous
Yeah.
lifestyle because you're having the color from salmon, which is high in omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D. Then you're
Mhm.
having, like, your pork ribs, very high in vitamin B1. Then you're having your beef, which is high in iron and magnesium and vitamin K2. Then you're
Mhm.
having your chicken, which is high in choline and tryptophan. And if you're having chicken wings, the skin on the wings has high collagen and also the healthy fat. So you are getting a multivitamin within all that color from those meats. So I always find it funny when people say, "Oh, it's boring," or "There's no variety." No, there's plenty of variety and very specific nutrients to be found in each of the cuts of meat or fish that you're eating.
Yeah, 100%. I'll say, like, I never get bored of what I'm eating. Like, I'm always looking forward to whatever's on our menu. And it's like I said, Allie thought I would get sick of the chicken thighs and the chicken wings, but, like, I love and I think it's because, like, dinners are always different and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's pretty cool that you just mapped it out like that because I didn't think of it in that way. And then when you say all the stuff, like all the vitamins and nutrients that you're getting from that, it's like no wonder my joints feel great. No wonder that I'm still able. Like this morning, I went and deadlifted, for sets of five, 243 pounds. Like, and I'm weighing around 125. So it's like I'm not missing out on any strength gains by not having all the other stuff. I think that by what I'm eating now, I'm getting the full benefit out of my lifting and my running and stuff like that.
You look
And I will
jacked.
say
You look
I'm
jacked.
pretty pumped about it.
I've
Like,
seen like, it's so insane, like, just to see the muscle mass that you and other athletes have put on from doing this
yeah,
with and it's not like you're even killing yourself in the gym.
that's
It
what I was gonna say.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so over the course of the last 2 years, I've had to modify a lot because of the meniscus and the surgeries and stuff like that, and I was kind of down about it. And then kind of along the same time of when I started this is when my knee started to get a little bit better. So I started to return to more of my normal lifting, but still, I'm only lifting probably 3 days a week. And it's nothing compared to what I was doing, where I was killing myself. I mean, like, if I wasn't drenched in sweat, dragging my body out of the gym, I wasn't happy. Now it's like, okay, cool. I got 45 minutes. I'm going to hit a quick warm up and then I'm going to hit these four exercises and cycle through. Um, I feel great. I've lost weight, but like that wasn't the intention. But I think it was like the unnecessary weight that I was carrying around for the last 15 years. I'm small. I'm 5'2". I've got a really tiny frame, and I mean I don't mind sharing this, but I was walking around at like 145, 147, and I'm back down to like college soccer weight in the mid 120s. And it was probably a combination of things, right? Like 2 years I wasn't lifting or running like I was, so I probably lost some muscle mass throughout all of that. But yeah, I mean, I I feel great. I love how I look. Um, and it's strictly what I've been eating. I tell everybody that. I'm like one of my athletes a couple months ago was like, "When did you get biceps?" I was laughing and honestly, when I started to change my diet, I was like, I up my proteins and fats and like, bam, there they are. And I've been a coach now for 13 years. I've been an athlete my whole life. So yeah, to see my body change, especially at 38 years old, like that's pretty cool. So I'm definitely enjoying the benefits of that. But I'll say like it's the lack of my like headaches and migraines. Like that has been the biggest thing for me because they're like you said, they're debilitating and they emotionally or mentally make you feel like crap and then you can't do what you want to do and then So I think on top of the strength benefits like that, I don't it was the migraines, the headaches. They're gone. Just crazy.
It's so amazing how this journey started by you wanting to improve your health first and take
Yeah.
control of your life and not suffer anymore. And I think a lot of women tend to change their nutrition because the goal is weight loss. And
Yeah.
when that's the goal, people fall off a lot quicker. But with
Yeah.
you, it was more health first, then
100%.
performance followed, the body composition followed as a nice byproduct. And I think
Yeah.
that's really inspiring for a lot of moms and women out there that you don't need to do anything crazy. You don't need to kill yourself. What you're doing is very simple, and it's
So simple.
giving your body the nutrients it needs from single ingredient whole foods, prioritizing protein first, not fearing healthy fats, and eating the carbs that your body responds best to. And
Yes.
I think this is such an important message because I truly believe when adults are healthy, then kids will be healthy. And
I totally agree with that.
they need to set the example for their children, and I know a lot of moms out there, and I've had a lot of conversations that they're experiencing symptoms, whether it's severe migraines or just struggling to go to the bathroom, digestive
Yep.
problems. A lot of moms in perimenopause or menopause, and they're in the thick of it, and it's
Mhm.
miserable, and they need to realize that they can reverse that, and
Totally.
when they do that for themselves, their kids see that too, and healed adults means healed kids.
100%. Yep.
It's
Like,
a
and
win-win for
it
everyone.
so is. Yeah, and like you said, you're teaching them, like, how to, at a young age, live a healthy lifestyle, and through, like, the food and being active and all that stuff, that's mental health in a nutshell. I mean, even Bex, like, she'll ask, like, like, we'll do, like, a popcorn night where I make the popcorn in the air popper and all that stuff, and she'll ask, like, "Is this healthy?" And, I'm like, "Yes, it's healthy, blah, 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 whatever." But she asks that a lot, and I don't lie to her. Like, if she were to say, if she wants ice cream, like, she's a kid, I'm gonna let her have ice cream. But she'll ask, "Is this healthy?" And I'll say, "Every once in a while it's healthy, but this shouldn't be a main staple in what you're eating." And then I'll explain to her because, like, the more you explain to them, one, I think even though they're young, they still appreciate not being dumbed down. And she understands. So, like, we don't have ice cream every night. We don't have ice cream every month. But, when the off chance, like, she started school, let's go get ice cream on your first after your first day. You did great. We still do that kind of stuff. But and then from an active standpoint, like, she sees us working out, being at, whatever, and it's really cute because she'll get on the rower and do that kind of stuff. And then we'll get done and she'll want, "Oh, can I have," what'll she say? And I'm like, "Yeah, let's make a smoothie," and we'll do the berries and all that stuff with, whole milk or something, and she loves it. But yeah, instilling that stuff early is huge.
I think that's really great of you that you let them know, hey, here's what's most nutritious for you and good for you long term and what you should be consuming the most of. But it's not the end of the world if you have ice cream from time to time. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
think just really informing our girls and our athletes not to freak out around some of these foods, but just use discernment and just
Yeah.
make smart decisions. But I really think a lot of people are coddling female athletes and not being hard enough on them. Hey, you really need to prioritize these nutrient dense foods. And I always tell my girls that you might be getting away with it now that you're eating a bunch of ultra processed packaged foods, but
Mhm.
eventually it manifests into health issues in your 20s. For you, it was in your 30s. Some people it's
Yeah.
earlier than others. And you get away with it for some time, but then eventually it bites you in the you know what. So I
Yeah.
think it is very important to get our girls into good habits young, make the best decisions you can when you are at the grocery store, and just use discernment.
Yes. I totally 100% agree with that. And like you said, like, you don't think about it when you're that age because that's just where you're at. You're not, and then I'd say my mid-20s, like I thought I had an ulcer. I mean, I was like, what is happening with my stomach? Like, this is insane. Couldn't eat, felt nauseous, all that stuff. And then, I went and got scoped and they were like, yeah, you got gastritis, like pretty bad, like eliminate these things. And I would, but it was like your typical, like, don't drink alcohol, eat spicy foods, tomatoes. It wasn't like, let's really dive into your diet and see what's going on. Because I feel like if I would have done that back then and done almost like an elimination style diet, I would have quickly figured out what foods were causing all that. And it was, the high starchy, fibrous stuff. And that was like the base of my meals. I was very much eat all the carbs first, eat the protein last. And now it's obviously like flipped and it's just crazy. Like I wish I would have found this years ago, but
Yeah.
just happy I did.
I talk about that all the time with my other colleagues who are doing a similar lifestyle. Also, other women who have put hormonal issues into remission, digestive issues, skin issues are
Mhm.
gone. And they say the same thing. They say, what if we knew about this when we were teenage girls?
Right.
How much more unstoppable could we have been? I,
Yep.
I think about it all the time, Heather. I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, that would have
Crazy.
been dangerous.
Yep. I mean,
Because
my nutrition was horrible.
we were naturally good athletes growing up. I
Right.
played at a high level, but I can't help but wonder how much better it all could
Yeah.
have been,
I
and
think about it
while
all the time.
also having your health at the same time.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think the goal for all athletes should be having both high performance and health. That
Yeah.
should be the goal,
Totally. 100% agree.
and it's possible, and
It is. Yep.
I think as we wrap this up, I just encourage everyone to just dive deep into all this and just really focus on the most nutrient dense foods,
Yeah.
ideally whole foods, and prioritize those for some time and stick with it and watch how your taste buds
Yeah.
change and your perspective on food change, and it becomes really powerful in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I have a couple friends that like they go like this. They try something for 2 weeks and they're like, "Oh, I don't see changes. I don't feel changes." And it's like you got to give it some time. So that's why I picked like 90 days. I was like, "All right, that's, you know, 3 months. I should, whatever." And um yeah, the consistent discipline. And it doesn't end up even being discipline. It just ends up being your lifestyle. So it's not even like a chore or a task. It's like this is what I do and this is how I feel and I don't want to stray because I love how I feel. Um so yeah, just stick with it. Don't give up after a month. Don't give up after 2 weeks. Like keep going.
I love it. Well, I hope this conversation was inspiring for everyone. I will leave Heather's Instagram in the caption below. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to her, especially the parents listening. She is a mom herself, and she also is a strength coach and very experienced in working with female athletes. So definitely follow up with her, and we hope this helped. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.